They're disrupting media with immersive technology. From Discovery, here's Nathan Brown. Wayfair, Ben Clark. And from Vuforia, Victor Gerdes. Joining them is Holiday's Steve Callan.
Thank you guys so much for being here. This is awesome. So don't tell anybody else, but I think we have the coolest panel here to talk about some cutting edge tech. We're talking about immersive technologies today, and really in that we have VR, AR, and MR. So to kick things off, I'd like to start with a video where we actually lay the groundwork for what we're talking about today.
Spotlight on VR, Discovery VR. In a world where content creators must constantly adapt, how does a traditional TV network stand out from the crowd? The answer? Launch one of the world's first virtual reality content platforms. In 2015, Discovery launched its VR platform on mobile and the web. With over 2 million downloads and over 100 million views, it has become one of the most popular VR apps in the world. Discovery VR viewers have access to 360-degree content from popular TV shows, documentaries, and original content. Even brands are getting involved by partnering to create exciting new content series. And with the recent release of the Oculus Rift, HTC Vive, and Gear VR, Discovery VR is poised to be a big player in the immersive content space for years to come. Spotlight on AR, Vuforia Augmented Reality Platform. Seeing is believing. This is the promise of Vuforia, the world's leading augmented reality platform. Vuforia is a software development kit that enables new or existing mobile applications the ability to superimpose computer graphics onto a live view of the world. With over 250,000 registered developers and 30,000 applications, Vuforia currently powers 80% of the AR apps in market. As AR is hitting the mainstream in both marketing and the industrial categories, Vuforia Studio is democratizing AR authoring, giving content creators the ability to create amazing AR experiences in minutes. Spotlight on MR, Wayfair Mixed Reality app. You may know Wayfair.com as one of the top online stores for furniture, decorating, and more. But customers face the same challenge on Wayfair as they do on other e-commerce sites. When all I have is an image and a description, how do I know for sure that I'm making the right choice? Leveraging Google's mixed reality platform Tango, Wayfair has developed an app that allows its customers to actually see a product as it would be in its natural setting. Maybe your living room? And once that perfect item has been found, all the customer has to do is click Buy Now. Time will tell if this new technology becomes a permanent part of the online shopping experience, but for now, mixed reality is giving Wayfair a radically new way to deliver an excellent customer experience.
Pretty cool stuff. So Nathan, I'll start with you. Back in April, John Riccitiello, who's the CEO of Unity, said that by the end of 2016, AR and VR is going to fizzle. What are you seeing at Discovery?
He said it's going to fizzle?
Fizzle out.
I disagree. You know, from our own experience and just from the proliferation of what you're seeing just generally in the market, I think it's far from fizzling. I think it's actually thriving. You know, you're seeing a lot more platforms fire up. You're seeing a ton of investment going into the space. You're seeing a lot more consumer adoption. And as a content maker, you know, we're really well positioned because, you know, content is really the oxygen that fuels these platforms. And so, you know, making such a big commitment in the VR space when we did very early for traditional media companies in August of last year, we've really leaned into it. And we really see this as really the present and I think the future in ways to really tell immersive, engaging stories, which fundamentally is what Discovery's DNA is all about.
So you mentioned investment. Right now, the AR and VR market's sitting at about $5.2 billion, and they're talking about it growing to somewhere around 120 to 150 billion by 2020, 2025. Victor, what do you see is the single biggest thing that's actually going to propel the industry into that.
I don't want this to be like the debates, but Unity may have changed their mind because they just signed a partnership with us to help bring them AR a little bit faster just this past week. So, but I think when we look at the numbers, I think we've heard numbers of VR growing to 30 billion and AR growing to 90 billion. And so what's the fundamental difference between the two? Is I think it has to do with being helpful, is that augmented reality is, this is where we live. Give me a technology that will help me to be more accomplished at what I do. And so AR will help a consumer evaluate different products. You know, with Wayfair, help them to see how it would fit. It would help them to see what it would look like. It would help them to put it together. It'll help them to operate the product better. So I think a little bit is in this context, we're looking at the customer journey and how to enable the customer's expectations to be met. Expectations that the product that I got is going to delight me, and expectations that when I get that product, I'm going to be able to use it to its full. And so augmented reality really gives that mechanism to bring the most out of the things around you. Does that make sense?
It does.
Yeah.
Ben, at Wayfair, you guys investing in AR, MR. You've built this for the Lenovo Fab 2, which just hit the market last week,
Yes.
it was. What drove the company to want to invest in this technology when you had 0 market share right out of the gate?
Sure. So for us, we think we're in a great position to experiment with these technologies. We have a very small department called Wayfair Next that exists in order to work on kind of cutting-edge experimental things. And so it's not a make or break bet for us to get into any of these technologies. So we're trying out a few of them. We have the one where I'm sort of here to talk about today is the augmented reality technology, but we just started talking publicly about what we're doing with Google Daydream, which is another one in the virtual space. We've also talked about what we're doing with Oculus Rift headsets. And so we do these experiments, and then we wait for a real opportunity that we can get into while experimenting carefully, making sure that we get the unit economics of it right before we sort of go big. And we can test that every step of the way, just like everyone does in e-commerce for everything that they do. You know, it's no different from experimenting with the checkout funnel or anything else. So in this case, we saw this great opportunity where the platform providers like Google, with in this case the Tango phone, which is this, if you don't know the tech, it's a depth sensing camera, which allows you to situate things in the space that you see with a much higher degree of accuracy than you get with the regular camera that's on an Android phone or an iPhone. And so we started putting together these 3D models, getting to the point where we could sort of put them in the space. That's what you saw in that video. And then we realized we could take the 3D models and render 2D photography from every angle, right? So you saw that turntable with the cameras in the studio there with the Wayfair Next team. And that allows us to take things out of this app, which, as you say, is a 0 market share, a very small niche right now. Nothing would please us better if than if the Tango camera becomes standard on every Android phone in the world. But if that doesn't happen, at least we have this big push to just improve the quality of our catalog and just get a lot of business value out of it. So that was a thing that we were experimenting with, and then we were able to kind of pounce on the opportunity.
That's great. Victor, you touched on the customer journey a little bit. I think there's some really interesting opportunities to talk in that. So there's a London designer, Keiichi Matsuda, who created a short film around what a future state might look like if we all were wearing augmented reality glasses. A little bit overwhelming. What are your thoughts on this, Victor?
I'm not going to London. I'll be there next week. Actually, but I think I approach augmented reality. Our company approaches it from a very pragmatic standpoint. Our customers are discrete manufacturers. You know, if you got here by a car or a train or you're using a phone, it was probably designed with our software. So when I look at that and I think about all the things you could do, I think what augmented reality should be considered in mixed reality is what I heard a little bit earlier was the customer journey. and how do you help someone along a customer journey? So I'm not quite sure how that would help someone. It certainly doesn't say, I want to help you. But what if you went to the Apple store, you bought an Apple phone, and you want a phone, and you wanted to buy a case for that? And you look at that wall of all the cases, and you think, which one do I pick? Well, what if you could hold up your phone, and it would immediately highlight the ones that fit your phone? What if you could sort of put price points, and immediately would start to highlight? It sort of looks like Amazon, but you're actually looking at a wall. And what if you just sort of tagged it, and then it was purchased for you? Augmented reality, we look at it as something that would be helpful. Well, in this case, the context of a consumer and helping them on that customer journey. But we look at with more high-tech products, whether it's Caterpillar, who would use technology for IoT to service a vehicle. And ultimately, when AR can help in the life of that vehicle, the vehicle will last longer to deliver more to the customer, fundamentally, it becomes a helpful technology. And so what does that user want to do, and how can we help them with AR? And London might keep you awake. Not sure how it would be helpful, though.
Just shifting gears back to VR, Nathan. A lot of brands right now are investing a lot of money in video, online video especially. How does a brand make that transition into VR?
I mean, I think it takes a lot of forward thinking, to be honest. I mean, you saw part of our clip. We did a great campaign with Dunkin' Donuts, thanks to some very forward-thinking people in this room. And I think it's about consumers really giving a lot of respect and appreciating brands that really do look at technology and look at different ways to tell stories and to get their brand messaging out there. And I think whether it's Dunkin' or several other brands that we've worked with or that you see out in the market, that are just taking chances, that are looking at ways to connect deeper with their consumers and to really show that they are, they're investing in the future. And I think they're getting a big reward from that. I think not just the halo of being someone that feels like they're, savvy. I think it's also about, consumers really engaging with the brand in a deeper way. I mean, if you look at the depth of engagement that we get with the branded content that we do, specifically in VR, it's leaps and bounds over what we typically get in just traditional video advertising. So you're getting these millennials and Gen Z. Couldn't let a panel go by without saying millennials or Gen Z. You're getting some really, really deep engagement, upwards of 10 minutes spending, dedicated to that brand content experience. And so you're seeing a lot of success with it, I think, just from a positioning standpoint and from an actual, communications effectiveness.
That's great. So we just have a couple minutes left, and I know this is an impossible question, especially in technology, but looking ahead to 2020, what does the landscape of immersive technologies, VR, AR, MR, look like? Victor?
Well, the good news is we've all have smartphones, and so a lot of the excitement is around eyewear, and eyewear will come. I suspect it's going to come first in enterprise and companies where it's used in creating, operating, manufacturing things. For us, it'll start with the handheld devices, and it'll transition so that it doesn't necessarily have to be a bump. And I think we're already seeing it today with some apps like Wayfair and Yelp and so on. But I think you'll start to see the technology blend with other experiences. We're here talking about AR, VR, and mixed reality, but when you walk in the customer's shoes, they may go from a web page to AR to mixed reality into a store, back to AR, and so it'll be stitched together.
Right. Ben, what are your thoughts?
Sure. So I think VR and AR are obviously very promising for a company like ours, which really wants to help people get past that buying decision, especially on big-ticket items, where you're going to feel much more comfortable if you can touch it, if you can see it in a space, if you can really get comfortable that it's going to look good in your house or around it. And so we just, we're going to wait for the platform people to kind of do their thing and then jump on the ones that are really starting to get traction and become, just the way we did, what everyone did with, with mobile phones when it became obvious that it was time to jump on that bandwagon. We're going to do the same.
Other than Discovery being the leader in VR production and distribution in 2020, I think that I think Snap honestly is going to be a huge mover in the consumer space. I think the glasses to me They're a funny, interesting, little playful camera. But I think what really they're doing is conditioning people to wear lenses over their face where they can serve AR in the future. And I think you're going to have millions and millions and millions of young people conditioned to wear those glasses so that you can serve AR into it. And I see a huge proliferation of Snap.
That's fantastic. Well, thank you guys very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.